Hi, good morning. It's great to be here. Today we will discuss the fundamentals of cybersecurity. Fundamental of cybersecurity. So let us define what cybersecurity is before we get right into the details. Let's talk about the introduction to cybersecurity. Why cybersecurity is everyone's responsibility. Why it's so important. Why it's super important. Cybersecurity is important because of the opportunities, because of the threats, because of the bad guys that are out there on the internet that are used to exploiting, they are used to taking advantage of certain information. That's why we're having conversation around cybersecurity fundamentals, right? So, an introduction to why cybersecurity is everyone's responsibility. It's everyone's responsibility because everyone is a stakeholder. What do I mean? Most people have a phone. If you have a phone, that means you have an asset. If you have a phone, that means you have an asset to protect. If you have a phone, that means you have a name, you have an email, you have certain information that can be referred to as asset. Asset is something that is of value. So your name is of value because it's attached to you. It's the way anyone in this world can actually, you know, identify you. So it's important. Your name, your phone number, personal identification information, your PII. So cybersecurity is everyone's responsibility. You can't shy away from it. Each time you find yourself in a school trying to register, you use your name, you're filling a form, you are putting down your name. You want to write your name. You're writing your name because that's your identity. You're sharing that email because that's your identity. As soon as you give it to that company, that school, they have to protect it because you don't want a situation where someone would commit fraud or will do something bad and they will claim that you were the one or your identity is similar to the identity of the person who committed that fraud, who did that thing. So that's why it's important for us to talk about cybersecurity, the introduction, the fact that it is everybody's responsibility. It's your responsibility. Everyone has got a name because of your name, because of your email, because of all the information that you have. You have bank accounts. For your bank accounts, your internet banking, you have passwords. It's just for you. Your email, you have emails, your password is meant for you. And the threat actors, the bad guys, they are a threat to everyone. Anyone who has got any asset, they are a threat to everyone. So everyone has got a name, you've got an identity, which is a part of the PII, personal identification information. But the bad guys, the hackers, are targeting that. They want to steal, they want to gain access to your information so that they can commit fraud, so that they can steal from you, so they can do a lot of things. They can also sell your information. Okay, so cybersecurity is everyone's responsibility, is super important. Now, let us talk about threats, cyber threats. There are a lot of cyber threats. And when you say cyber threat, the threats that can be found within the cyberspace. Defining cybersecurity. Cybersecurity is the protection of all the devices that have access to the cyberspace. Typical example, if you have a phone and your phone is connected to the internet, it is connected to the cyberspace. Your laptop is connected to the internet, it's connected to the cyberspace. Your gadgets, irrespective of the kind of gadget, provided it's connected to the internet, then it's connected to the cyberspace. That's what it means. And so there are things that are of value. There are assets on, like example, on your phone. The assets on your phone, and the assets are you have access to your email. You access your email via it's your password to your email, your WhatsApp, password to your WhatsApp, your internet banking password, like your mobile app. So you have asset on your phone. You have asset also on your laptop. And these are some of the things that the hackers actually want. Now they will look for ways to exploit you. When I say exploit you, exploit anyone. And one of the things they do is they will put up sites where you can visit. Maybe because you're trying to visit sites, you're trying to download certain software and use certain software. As soon as you try to access those sites, they're malicious sites. They will put up viruses, malware, so that you can click and it downloads into your system. And that way they can begin to steal. There's what we call keylogger, where if it's downloaded to your system, it picks your passwords and it sends it to them remotely. So there are a lot of cyber threats. However, virus is one of them, malware is one of them, and there are a whole lot of them. Right? Phishing attack is one of the attacks that they use. By sending you an email, you click on it. Sometimes you click on it, you download files. Sometimes a lot of people don't know when you download the PDF file, they're not downloading only the PDF. Sometimes they zip it, they send you zipped files. You buy it. Maybe what you're trying to download is a um what you're trying to download is a PDF, but it's a zipped file, and there could also be a .exe file, which is a malicious software. So that by the time you try to launch it, if you install that software, they will have access to your system remotely. And so now the bad guys can do all of that just to gain access to your system. So they are a major threat. When they want to launch attack, you won't know. When they want to launch attack, you won't know that they are on your system, except you probably have a tool which is antivirus. That's why having a very good antivirus is important, is key, is really important. So if you have a laptop, it's good to have an antivirus. Even if you have your phone, it's good to also have an antivirus. It's important. So you also need to pay attention to phishing email. If you're not expecting an email, if you look at the storyline, if you look at the grammar, if you look at the address, there must be something that will sell them out, that will make you get to quickly discover that this is not legit. You know, so that's important. You need to, and everyone needs to understand how to, avoid falling victim of phishing attack. It's important. Let's talk about CIA principle. There is no way you talk about information security without talking about cybersecurity or without talking about CIA principle. CIA principle is important. It's a concept that cannot be um, swept, under the carpet. We need to talk about. We need to understand what CIA is all about. CIA is confidentiality, integrity, and availability. It's simply when you are able to adhere So these three things, then you can say that you are working towards, enforcing information security or cybersecurity. It's important. If you're not protecting any information, then how do you want to prove that you are? How do you want to prove that you are protecting confidential information, right? If you're not protecting confidential information, how do you want to prove that you're implementing information security or cybersecurity integrity if you have any information somewhere and anyone can access it and just tamper with it? How do you want to confirm that? So it's important that you pay attention to it. Another thing to talk about is the availability. Availability helps to ensure that all the necessary resources that should be available are available. All the necessary resources that should be available are available, like the servers, the servers being available, the application being available. You can't say you're trying to protect an application and the application is not available for the customers to use. You are trying to protect the server and the server is not available for the customers to use. So it's important while you're implementing security, while you're trying to protect it, it should be available as and when required. So it's important. So CIA principle is key, is a principle that everyone, have to talk about in security. That's like the guide for all that we do in security. So you're not permitted to leave out one. Let's say you have like you're in compliance with confidentiality, but you're not in compliance with let's say integrity, or and you feel like, oh, then you're in compliance with availability and that's fine. No, you have to make sure you are compliant with, the three. That's what it means. You have to be compliant with the three. It's important. Now let's talk about tools and techniques for cyber defense. Tools and techniques for cyber defense. um, there are a lot of tools and techniques for cyber defense, but I like to demystify cybersecurity with this concept. Cybersecurity, let's focus on personal security. Personal security, you have a phone. You're supposed to have an antivirus on that phone. You're supposed to have password on that phone. You're supposed to have 2FA on that phone. You have WhatsApp. You're supposed to have 2FA on WhatsApp. You're supposed to have on your email recovery emails and recovery phone numbers. It's important. That's for personal security. For company security, yes, there are a lot. So on your personal laptop, for a personal laptop, yes, you should have antivirus, you should have your password, you should also have your firewall, and you should understand the kind of information you're storing and all. And also you should be wary of just connecting to just any Wi-Fi. Also, patch management is important. That's like installing the updates. There could be different updates, security updates and the likes. So that's also very important. Different types of updates that should be installed. So that's key. So that's for personal security. For company security, yes, your for systems, antivirus for systems, antivirus for servers, firewall for all of them, configuring them, making sure that all adhere to the CIA principle. It's important. Then there are firewalls on systems, firewalls on servers, both Linux and Windows, and also ensuring that the different tools. So, and there are network tools, and there are cloud tools also. But all of them should be configured in a way that you know the servers are protected, the database and all, are protected. There are best practice for configuring them, right? So that's it. Let's talk about best practice for cyber hygiene. Talking about best practice for cyber hygiene, let's talk about password. Password is important because For you to access your laptop, access your phone, access a server, access a web, access a mobile, you need something that is called password after the username. So it's important. A lot of people usually create passwords and they use weak password. They create weak passwords. An example of weak password is password one, password two, password three, password at one, password and 1, 2, 3, and like now anyone can guess those passwords easily. Anyone can guess those passwords easily, and that's a problem. So an hacker already know that a lot of people want the easiest way out. They just want to, um, put up their passwords, and they want to use simple passwords, right? So doing that, that already sells them out. That already makes it easy for, you know, a hacker to guess. So if you have any password, if it is guessable, then you are still at the mercy of the hackers. The goal of cybersecurity also, apart from the cybersecurity or the goal of information security, apart from adhering to CIA principle, we also want to make sure that we make it difficult for the hackers to just gain access or penetrate. So it's important. It's important. It's super important. So also, there is a software called Password Manager. Password Manager is a software that helps you, um, store a lot of passwords, and you only need to remember only one. So, what it means is if you forget that one password, then that's it. Or if one password, major password, to the vault, if it is, breached, then all your passwords are gone. So that's it. But it's also important to pay attention to passphrase. Passphrase is important. Passphrase is you putting together, you know, trying to put together words, maybe 3 letter words, 4 letter words, and you decide to pick first letters from them, but apparently words or phrases that you can't easily forget. Then you have to be intentional about this. Then you use that. You pick the first letters. You start with maybe a full stop. You end with maybe a full stop. You pick a character in the middle. You pick numbers in the middle. You rearrange it in a way that it suits you. But the goal is to make sure that whatever you're creating, either it's a password or not, what you should do is you should not use your date of birth. You should not use anything that can be found in the dictionary, and so and make it complex. But I mean, also in a way that you can remember. So that's important password. Also for updates, a lot of people run away from these phones and all. I know that sometimes there could be updates that will make maybe the phone or the system to be unstable. In that case, what happens for personal security? I'm talking about software. What happens is on the phone, you still have to install it if you feel it's okay. But I mean, if you have the update, instead of before installing it, you can, check for a review of the update. And, some people might have installed it. So they probably might have like a problem, and maybe you trying to go through it, might just make things work. They might have a, you know, problem with the, software and all, but that kind of gives direction if you should go ahead or not. So if you get information and you know that it's stable, then you can install. But if it's for a company, you're expected to have like test environment where you test the patches before installing. You're not you're not meant to install on production servers and just update. And that means that by the time you try to even test the software and all, and it was released maybe last week, you're testing this week, then it means that maybe next week is even when you will update it. And that's a long time or a lot of time for any hacker to exploit the system. So, that being said, you as a cybersecurity expert, you should understand the context, the risk involved, what could go wrong, damage, and all, and how what could be lost. obviously. Um, Even the service also, if you install a particular software, like the updates on the server or an a server or on a web or anywhere, and it's not stable, it will also contravene the CIA principle. So that's one. Another thing to talk about is awareness. Awareness is key. Awareness is important. Awareness is key. Awareness is important. Cybersecurity awareness is important. A lot of companies, they have been able to put in place and invest in cybersecurity devices, technology tools, and the likes. They've been able to do that. But guess what? The bad guys know that awareness is not sufficient, like is not enough. And awareness can never be enough, right? So that's why it's important also that awareness should be top notch for every organization, top priority for every organization. The more awareness you have, the less likely, the more likely you are not going to, you know, fall victim, because people will be aware of certain things and they already have like an idea of what to stay away from and what to do and what not to do. So it's important. So in building a cybersecurity foundation, it's important to understand the CIA principle. It's important to understand that the 2FA will always help out. You should, as a cybersecurity expert, going forward, if you're privileged to listen to this, going forward, you should never have an email without 2FA. You should never have an email without recovery emails and phone numbers. You should never have any application without 2FA. 2FA is important. It's not like the ultimate, but it's a good place to start. So till I come your way next time, take care of yourself. If you have questions, please ask questions. Thank you.